All right, for more insight into President Xi's speech and the development of the internet in China, we're joined from Beijing by current affairs commentator Einar Tangen. Einar, as always, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle.
Einar, Chinese President Xi, speaking at the World Internet Conference, has called on countries to respect what he calls one another's cyber sovereignty and to allow them to set their own rules for cyberspace and govern the internet as they see fit. What is your take on President Xi's comments?
Well, it represents a very, very different future for the internet in terms of a vision. You know, we've always in the past in the West seen the internet as a cyber highway that crosses all boundaries. It's an entity unto itself. But China is reminding the world that, or Xi is reminding the world that things are a little bit more complex with terrorism, pedophilia, online identity theft. A lot of the promise of the internet also comes with some dangers. So he's trying to, I think, introduce this idea that each country is going to be responsible and that the internet will evolve, at least on an international basis, more like a UN meeting, e.g. countries will come together and discuss the issues that are relevant not only to, for the growth of the internet, but also for the security of each of these countries.
So, Einar, China's position, you could say, is not one for a unilateral approach, re the internet?
Absolutely. If you're a fan of net neutrality, this is not going to hit you right. It really represents a contrast in kind of what cultural views from the Chinese perspective. Always there's the issue of how society, the needs of society need to be balanced against the individual, whereas in the West we tend to look at the individual rights as a little bit more preeminent. So you have this kind of ideas battling each other, a confrontation of different cultures. It will be worked out in the end. I think in the US and in Europe, there's already a lot of feeling that, yes, the internet is good, but there are dangers there and how to deal with them. China, Xi is representing a different idea for the future.
Certainly a very complex situation. Now, Einar, on the one hand, China is a global leader in online commerce. In fact, 4 out of the world's top 10 internet companies are from China: Alibaba, Tencent, JD.com, and Baidu. On the other hand, there are restrictions and regulations regarding the Chinese internet. So how does that impact the internet business and the investment climate?
Well, I mean, the investment climate, I mean, Xi is walking a very fine line. He's trying to take the politics out of the internet. He doesn't want it to be used to spread ideologies, whether U.S. or radical extremists, etc. But he wants the technical part in order to move China's economy ahead. I mean, the needs of a modern economy where you have a rapidly graying population and the need for more productivity is going to require solutions that the internet can provide. But he does not want this to be an area which becomes a fifth column into his country or any other country. So, as I said, walking a very thin line.
Well, part of walking that line maybe opening up further, and in the meantime, Einar, many foreign internet services, including Facebook, Twitter, Wikipedia, and Instagram, they're blocked in China. Do you see that changing?
No, actually, I don't, not for a while. I think people are trying to come to terms with China. It's not unlike when he went to the U.S. and you had that huge number of CEOs out there. It's not whether they like or dislike China. It's a question of how do you deal with China? How do you make money there? With the largest number of internet users, as you mentioned, it's a massive market, and everybody is trying to figure out what the rules are going to be and how to address them. You've already seen, you know, Mr. Zuckerberg has been on a charm offensive, meeting Xi at every opportunity. I don't know exactly how that's going to dovetail, but I think he's trying to assure Xi and Beijing that Facebook will not be a threat. But the question for them will be how it is used. Will it be used as an ideological platform which allows people who are antagonistic to China to try to spread ideas that they don't deem worthy, whether that's terrorism in Xinjiang or whether it's a direct attacks on the Chinese government.
Let's focus a little bit more on the commerce aspect of it. And as we mentioned, China is the largest internet market, over almost 700 million users, 1.2 billion mobile phone users. How significant is the internet and online commerce in terms of China's growth, especially as the economy transitions to a consumer-driven one?
Well, it is massive, and it's continually changing. There's a revolution going on. For the first time this week, the total amount of phone traffic exceeded that of traffic on computers. This is going to continue to be a trend. People are downsizing, as I may say it. They are carrying their computer in their pocket. And they're using it as a gateway to all of the areas that they do. Shopping is a main one. People are trying to crack this O2O, offline to online, online to offline, I'm sorry. And it's the amount of things that can happen are massive. It can affect government in terms of how delivery of services are done, how information is recorded. But it also represents, areas where big data can be used in ways that are antithetical to our ideas of privacy. Now the question is, how are these things going to be settled? It's obvious that there are two different, or a multitude of different views, but China is bringing up a very, very different platform and saying, look, a stable society requires that there be some limits. You cannot yell fire in a middle of a crowded theater, and we cannot allow the internet to be something that is used against us. From a commercial perspective, though, they're trying to increase that. They need the technological innovations. The question is, how do you kind of bring these two things together?